You better be living right in your family.
You better love all God's children, regardless of color.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or the description on the Liberty Bell means nothing.
Yeah.
Also, listen. Also, I said, irrespective of the guns, throw the guns away, throw the uniforms away, throw the rank away. You're the army of the Lord, because you know I've seen biblical things happen among these people.
Really?
Yes, in a fellowship.
Really?
Unity, order.
They come to the Lord, do they?
They sure do.
I want to tell you something. Here's a bulletin for you. They are not throwing their guns away, and you can quote me. But you can challenge the observation if you want. And this audience wants in when we come back in just a moment. Sir.
I just briefly like to know, what do you do for jobs? Do you have normal jobs? You work?
Yes, I do.
You're all employed.
I'm utility worker, yes.
Legally and.
That was a rotten thing to say.
We're not TV commentators.
I would have hoped you would see it as an attempt by the host to clarify your rather nebulous answers. All right, your grievance is on the record. Yes.
Well, you're telling us we should be afraid of our government. Why shouldn't we be afraid of you and your dictating Christian rules?
No. There's no dictation. No dictation of Christian rules. No dictation of Christian rules.
What you should be afraid of is comments like Senator Sam Nunn said on June 1st, 1994 in the New York Times, when he said, I think the American people would welcome a Russian military force for peacekeeping purposes. That's what you should be afraid of. Those are the questions you should ask your elected officials.
You're afraid of the Ruskies? You're still afraid of Russia?
Why do we need Russian peacekeeping forces in the United States?
Come on,
that's what I think we ought to ask.
You're an old, cold warrior. It's over. It's over. If something bad certainly could happen to us.
Why does Sam Nunn want to bring him here? Ask him.
One of you said that you're going to make a better world for us. I don't want to live in that world that you're making.
My friend, you don't know the world. So you're just hearing what you hear today. You don't know us.
What world are we making?
You don't know what we believe.
All we are is public servants. We train every weekend. You know what we train for? We train in first aid. We train in compass work. We train in search and rescue. We're there if in case of a natural disaster that we can come out and serve and effectively help people. If a child is lost in the woods, that we can have 500 men out there in the woods helping to find that lost child and serve that sheriff. We're public servants.
As a citizen of America, each one of you have the same responsibility. The first people at the important forest fires that broke out a couple of months ago in the Northwest, which may seem humorous to you, Phil, but it's not.
No.
Nonetheless, it was the Trockman family was the first ones there. Long before any other people were out for the forest fire.
Yes.
Just because of people like you are, we have to bring the Russians, because we have to keep peace here. And how we can keep peace here if we have people like you are? What do we show our children? We have to show our children how to keep peace without weapons. It's about time. What are you doing? You're just damaging the next generation, and you're damaging the life of your children.
Yes.
In the first place.
If you joined us late, I might be able to help you here.
I want to respond.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because she said that it's okay to bring Russian troops here, and they're applauding. You're applauding that troops are being brought here and equipment that's carrying deadly nerve gas here. We have documented evidence of this being brought here. We get confirmation from military sources on the subject, and you're clapping. Sometimes I wonder, because I was asked this question among the thousands of phone calls my house gets on the militia. I've been asked this question. Do you think this country is ready for it? Do you think this country deserves freedom? Okay, maybe I'm saying from this applause, I don't mean to alienate the audience. If we don't get our heads out of the sand and wake up, we're going to get whatever we deserve, people.
Yeah. Why are your children playing with guns? Where are they getting the guns, lady? Where do the guns come from?
What is your point? Make the point. You keep asking questions.
The point is this. This is a local sheriff. You're laughing at this? This is a local sheriff.
Yeah.
That's his vehicle. That's an armored vehicle, folks. It says sheriff on it in Washington State. In every major U.S. city and the small ones, like Bay City, Michigan, the police officers are getting hand grenades hand grenade launchers and CS gas like they used to kill the people in Waco. Yes. If you find humor in that, talk to me later on, because you're looking at a different radio program.
Let's review here for a second. Very recently, in our last election, we threw a lot of what we called the bums who were spending our money out of government. We hate government. We are ready for these guys. We think government is too big. We think taxes are confiscatory. We think the government is knocking down too many doors without the appropriate papers to do so. We also think there are a lot of people standing up and applauding the government when they do this. Say what you want about these guys. They respect the Bill of Rights. They don't think anybody from the federal government should be knocking anybody's door down. Certainly not without judicial approval. And so they're taking it one step further. They're not only voting to throw the guys out, they're waiting for anarchy. And when it comes, they say they're going to be ready, and you're not. And whenever they get into mainstream media, and a report is given in the paper about where they're meeting or where they're training, you draw a big crowd, don't you? Lots of folks come? Yeah, not 10 million. Come on, you pull that out of your hat. Get out of here. 10 million. I'll make you a watch if you have 10 million people in your
Good, I'll keep your address and I'll tell you my size.
You don't. Let me tell you. The report, here's what, 150,000 people. That's max. That may be what you have.
Let me point this out. Now, we work, there's 3 or 4 of us that work on a full-time basis in just keeping together the associations. Single radio programs, for example, in Phoenix, Arizona, generates 200 phone calls of persons that want to develop their own individual groups of militia. At this point in time, we have no idea. The best estimate is anywhere from 8.5 to 10 million. Believe it or not.
Just one question before I break. It's a yes and no question. Do you stock armament?
Absolutely, we stock whatever is necessary to protect ourselves. Under the Constitution.
Right. Would you stock? And that includes
the Constitution.
That includes semi-automatic weapons and all the, the boom, 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 and the big boom.
Are you talking automatic or semi, or do you know what the difference is?
Well, what if I don't?
If you don't, then you're in trouble because
we're going to have to understand guns.
You got to understand the difference between legal.
Do you stockpile hand grenades?
Absolutely not, and that's
no, you don't like hand grenades.
That's foolishness.
But you do have
illegal, Phil.
You do have AK-47.
That's illegal, Phil. You have to learn what's legal and illegal so that you don't get in trouble.
We have 2 people who are involved in watching out for human rights, monitoring the activity of what many call extreme right-wing groups. Gentlemen, maybe you're flattered by that definition.
Absolutely not. It's totally wrong.
And we'll talk with them and give them a chance to ask their own questions of these folks when we come back in just a moment. This is Waco. Here is, incidentally, who's responsible for this? And, well, is this the way you want your official response to express itself here?
There you go, folks.
And what we've done here with this kind of action, which incidentally, I don't know what post-analysis has developed and whether anybody's taken any responsibility, but that action makes men here who are part of militias feel that they're doing the right thing. Not to be confused with...
The president and also Reno, our attorney general, took responsibility for it, and it should rest right on their shoulders. They need to watch that tape a few times, too.
Tom Halpern is Associate Director of the Fact-Finding Department at the Anti-Defamation League in New York City. And you're here with Dennis Hennigan, who is Director of the Legal Action Project of the Center to Prevent Handgun Violence in D.C. Is it the Brady Bill and the crime bill had an anti-automatic weapons provision?
That's
Do
right.
I understand that?
A ban on assault weapons.
Ban on assault weapons. You feel this is just 2 stories that excited interest in this kind. Why don't you just give them a chance? Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that the enactment of these federal gun control laws were the flashpoints for this militia movement. Clearly, these people believe that they have a right to resist by force of arms gun control laws that were enacted by a Democratic government. And that's very disturbing.
Yeah, but they would argue, I mean, probably more eloquently than I, if Koresh had been maybe readier and been able to defend, maybe he wouldn't have all those dead babies today. Well, so, what's the difference between self-defense and authorized invasion of a person's home. I think that's what we're down to trying to define here.
Well, keep in mind, Phil, that Koresh's people were engaged